Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the inaugural first episode of Crazy About Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom. It's Newf Nukem in the room. I am here, and you are here because we are all crazy about gaming. That is correct. Again, welcome, guys, to the very first episode. Super excited to be here. The chat is already filling up. But as promised, I'm going to keep the pace flowing like any great video game because I'm trying to keep this thing to about 60 minutes or less. Obviously, we may run over from time to time, but I want to try to be consistent as I can. But, this is the first episode, so I'm expecting it to be a little looser. Things will tighten up and things will only get better as time goes on. Obviously, I can't do this without you, and it wouldn't be worth getting up out of bed if it wasn't for you guys who make this a very special moment, right? That's the thing. Anybody can get to several hundred episodes, but there's only one first episode, right? I say it's kind of like, popping the champagne bottle, popping the cork sort of thing. Now, for those who are not acquainted who didn't catch, some of my videos leading up to this, how is it going to be different? Well, again, I think it's going to be a little bit more structured than some of the podcasts I've done in the past. Obviously, now it's the first time ever, believe it or not, really doing a solo podcast, which has its advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, and I also want to keep it sort of more of a PG atmosphere. I want everybody to have fun. I want different age groups to be able to enjoy my podcasts, and I don't want to be constantly fearing content strikes and things like that. My channel, for those of you who didn't know, has had some modest growth over the years, but I'd like to make this channel a little bit bigger. I'd like to make it a thing, to be quite honest with you. I think anybody that gets into this podcast business does it for fun first and foremost, but I also think it's nice, to take it to another level whenever possible. How some people get there, it's through hard work, consistency. Other people get there at a sheer, kind of luck. It just depends on who shares things out, that sort of thing. But who your connections are, all that sort of stuff. Maybe your reputation. I don't know. I've never considered myself to be an overly boring podcaster. I hope that's not the case. I've always had a pretty loyal following of people, and and I have a great circle, and I have a lot of support. And again, without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to you all because, again, I am here because of you. I'm here because of the support. I'm here because of some great feedback. And when I said I was coming back, and the people that reached out to me and said, good, I'm happy. And it sounds like I finally picked a time and a day kind of thing that works not only for my schedule, but for a lot more people as well, which is fantastic. So I got to give a shout out to the people in the chat, like Draven Arrow, who was the first one in the podcast chat this morning. We got Lady Gamers 1980. We also have Talos Ray, one fantastic individual that is so much fun to play games with. We got the Game Complainers, my good buddy himself, Mr. Perry, is in the house. We got another good man in the chat, Fazah 9286. Good old Frank is here. Good to see you, my friend. Who else do we have this morning? We've got Pink Piggle saying, hey, hey, hey. We got Joe Dunmore is in the house. Good to see you, Joe. Welcome back, my friend. We got Your Wicked Hot is here. Yes, a.k.a. Game Pass Man is lurking in the shadows. Oh, man, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you're going to enjoy the show. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way first real quick. I hope you guys can see this. I did do the announcement on one of my previous videos leading up to the show, but I'm going to give away this puppy right here. This little game console, right? Kind of looks like a Game Boy, but it's got, 2 analog sticks on it. It's actually a pretty phenomenal device. Now, there are better retro game consoles on the market for sure, but, I picked this one up and I thought this would be a great giveaway for the show. It's not happening today. Here's how it happens, okay? Much like I've done in the past, the people that are in the chat right now live, I am taking down your names. I've got a list of you all. And on episode number 5, that's right after the very first month wraps, and we get to the month of March, we're going to give this little puppy away on the Wheel of Winning. So if you're in the chat for each of the 4 episodes, it's going to give you 4 opportunities to win. Okay. That's how it goes. It's pretty simple. Like I said, I'm taking down all your names right now, and it's not too hard because I don't have like 600 people in my chat. So I'd say, anybody that comes out to my shows stands a pretty good chance of maybe scoring this puppy. And yes, there are over 20,000 games, and I can almost promise you that just about every popular game, at least during the 8-bit, 16-bit era, is on this device, okay, including all of the Nintendo stuff, okay? They're pretty picky about the stuff that, that people put on. And I can tell you the emulation is actually really good on the majority of them. There is actually quite a few N64 games on here, but some of them run pretty poorly, okay? Like there's a lot of frame rate dips and stuff like that and some audio hiccups. But for the most part, like I said, the 8-bit, 16-bit stuff runs really good. It has a really good screen on it too, by the way. You can't add more games to it. You can add things through the micro SD card and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, again, we're going to give this puppy away. If you want to see the video, if you want to sort of see it being displayed or whatever, you can go back on my channel and check it out. So make sure that you hit the follow button first of all, or the subscribe button, and give me a thumbs up if you can. Again, this podcast is going to be a work in progress. It will get better over time. Obviously, you noticed I didn't have an intro. I'm going to be working on that, but I actually want to do a personal intro. I want to work on some music and stuff, and I want to do it myself. So yeah, there you go. So you can win this guy. Just got to be in the chat for the next 4 weeks. Well, even if you're only here for one show, you still get an entry. You just get 1 versus 4. Okay. So that's how we're going to roll it. We got, my name is Captain Ketch is in the chat right now. So I'm just going to write down some of these names while we're rolling right on. So what is everybody up to this morning? Most importantly, what game are you playing right now? The WrestleMania tickets. That would be fun. So what is everybody playing right now? I mean, I haven't been playing. I've been kind of all over the board, which kind of makes it kind of, hard to narrow down to one game. I mean, I know I did a stream the other night of a really cool little game called Wanted Dead. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but I was playing it on the PS5. You can get it on the PlayStation 5. You can get it on the Xbox. And it's actually a pretty cool little game. It is made by some ex-developers of Team Ninja. So it has a kind of a Ninja Gaiden sort of feel to it. Perry's been playing Resident Evil 2 on a GameCube. So yeah, those who got to watch me play it the other night were actually kind of impressed. It was kind of funny, and I think that's one of the cool things about when you stream a game like that is you get a lot of people interested in it. I even have people that didn't even know it existed. Like, what is this game? And I thought that was really cool. It has some really amazing, when you get the oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? When you get a kill chain going, you get to execute people, and it has these like John Wick moves on it. It is pretty sweet, man. Yeah, it is indeed. And again, it is called Wanted Dead. You can pick it up, on the consoles itself, on the PlayStation 5. I think it even came out at the end of the Xbox One and PS4 generation. So I think you can get the older versions as well. Frank's been playing Animal Crossing and Yakuza 5. Yes, speaking of Animal Crossing, great little game. And shout out to Piggles and to Perry and to Frank for helping me out on my little island, getting that started and dropping off a bunch of really cool stuff for me to kind of get going, hit the ground running. It's, Animal Crossing is just one of those little gems. But I can kind of see why it's so popular, because it's a game that just doesn't require like this, brain and thumb overload. Yeah, Piglets made me rich. She dropped off a lot of stuff for me, and I finally have my first house on there, which is kind of cool. But it's just one of those great little Nintendo games that has an adorable cuteness to it, and it's just a great mess around game. When you don't want those games that are going to consume half your life and take up a bunch of hours and have you swearing concussively at a screen, Animal Crossing definitely feels that itch. So I'm actually kind of glad I have it. It's actually the first time ever I've bought an Animal Crossing game, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like I said, I think it's a lot of fun, and apparently millions of other players around the world think so as well. So it's kind of cool. And, with the new update on the Nintendo Switch 2, you can actually have up to like 12 players come and join you on your island. It's really cool. And I thought one of the neat little things with Animal Crossing is that, when people come to visit you, they do this little plane and they show you go inside the airport and they kind of show you that the plane is arriving and like the time and stuff. It's kind of neat. So yeah, that is pretty really cool. So right now we got a bunch of people I'm adding to. If I seem a little distracted, just because I'm typing these in, guys, as we go. I don't want to make sure I don't miss anybody, and I'll be keeping an eye over the next couple of weeks on who shows up to the chat as well. All right, so yeah, we're off to a good start this morning. Lots of great people in the chat, and I think I've got you all added to the list of entries so far. So good luck on that. So all right, let's get into. Obviously, we've been talking about what I've been playing. I said I've wanted. Been playing lots of Battlefield. Battlefield is, without a doubt, in the last 6 months, has definitely been my most played game, probably hands down. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield with Stevie Mac and Talos Ray, and with the Game Complainers and everybody else. A little bit here and there with Wicked Hot. Wicked Hot, we got to play some more games too. And speaking of Wicked Hot, he's having a game session later on today, I do believe, at around 4 p.m. Eastern on Baldur's Gate. So that should be interesting. Go check out his channel if you haven't done so already. And to a lot of people in here who actually do podcasts, check their channels out as well. They're very supportive of me, and I wish to return the favor by being supporting of them. Yeah, we had some tough games. You know, that's the thing with Battlefield, man. And especially on the weekends, I find there's a lot more people that play it on the weekends. I seem to have for whatever reason, I get a lot of lag on the weekends. It might be because the servers are overloaded. I don't know. Or my internet, but yeah. We got Stevie Mac already playing Resident Evil in his head right now. I was thinking, you're playing that already? How do you score a copy of that so early? I am super excited about that. But speaking of games to get excited about, we're going to take a look at the upcoming list of games between February the 1st and to the 7th. So we're going to add this to the screen right here, right now. And that is right here. We got some new and upcoming game releases. I'm going to share this out real quickly for you guys. Starting tomorrow, we got Megastore Simulator, which comes out on the PC. Then on the 3rd, we have Aces of Thunder for the PlayStation 5, the PSVR 2. That looks like it would be a great game to play on the PSVR 2 for sure. We got the Dark Rights Arkham. We've got Yap Yap, which sounds like a lot of people that I know that never shut their Yap Yap. We got Strong Crusader. That's also on the PC. Sector Zero coming up for the PC. We got an expansion, I think, or at least an update to Helldivers 2 for PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and the PC. That is on the 3rd of February. Moving over to the 4th, we got Car Service Together. I noticed a lot of these games popping up the last little while, like these sort of like simulators for stuff. It's kind of weird. Master of Peace, but they spell it Piece, so it looks like some kind of a probably a puzzle game. That comes out also. It's early access for those two games on PC. And a shout out to this game site that I found. It's called releases.com, and it's great. They make it pretty simple and easy to see. I hope you guys can follow along with this pretty well. We got Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined coming out on the Switch 2. I'm sure that will be a popular seller, especially overseas. We got a game called Menace. That sounds like half the communities these days. Coming out on PC. And then we also have called Lovish. This is a Switch 2, PlayStation 5 game. Hermit and Pig on the Mac, PC. We got The Run for PC. Lots of PC games in here. We got Anthem number 9. Sorry, it's not the Anthem that you know and love, but hey, it does share the name in common. Look, finally, we got some update to PUBG, which I haven't seen or even played for that matter for a long time. This is early access called PUBG Blind Spot. We got Sea of Remnants coming out as well. This is a closed beta test. Looks like it's on console. I'm guessing it's probably on the PlayStation 5. We also got Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. Okay, I don't even want to go there. That sounds a little dirty, but it does look cartoonish. 4-player GP, 4P GP. Okay, that sounds like something else as well. Kind of weird name for some of these games. I actually did see some video on this as an F1 game. It's not a licensed F1, but it does look pretty cool. That is in the Switch 2. We got Taxi Knot. Okay, that's PC Linux. Civilization 7, Fortnite, the South Park. Oh, it's an end date. So basically they're saying the Fortnite content, I guess, ends for that. We got Choppy Cuts. I'm guessing that's a barber game. That might actually be kind of fun. And then lastly, ending off the week, we've got a big game. It's probably the biggest one that I can think of in this list, and that's Neo 3. Right now, I do believe there's a demo on the PlayStation 5. Coming out on the PC and the PlayStation 5. We got My Hero Academia All Justice. We got JDM, the Japanese Drift Master. So if you're a fan of the old Japanese drift style games, which were very popular in the early 2000s, that might certainly be a game for you. We got Bandit Trap, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2. We got PGA Tour 2K25. Well, it's not really a new game. Well, it's a few months old, but it is finally coming to the Switch 2. And Snow Bros. And then last but not least, on the 7th, we got Carmageddon Road Shift, another sequel, I guess, to an old game that was kind of popular, I think, during the original Xbox era, if I'm correct. Again, we only going to do like the first 6 days until we get back to the next week, and then we go over the following week, all that sort of stuff here. Just jumping back to the chat, guys. Sorry, just had to read all that out. Getting back to you here. Going to close this out here. All right. Who we got in the chat? Let's catch up with everybody in case I missed anyone. Obviously, Stevie Mack is here hanging out with me as well. We got Dark Zone in the house, brother. Good to see you here as well. PUBG is having a spin-off game. Okay, yes. Please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these games. Yeah, you're welcome, Wicked Hot. Speaking of, that's going to be one of the sections of the show each and every week, because I'm going to be having it's going to be like a content creator spotlight. So each and every week, I intend to highlight a content creator. I've got one lined up for this week already. And you don't even have to be a content creator. Sometimes I might just highlight someone that, I interact with a lot on a daily basis, or I love your content that you sort of assembled together over on apps like X. If anybody knows me, that's probably my favorite app. I love X. I mean, there's a lot of nonsense on X. I get it. But, there's a lot of great information there as well. And I find it's an awesome way to kind of interact and at least chat with people. And I know some people don't care for it because, again, you got to weed out a lot of the nonsense. But I wish there were more people that had it, because I like to send DMs through there a lot of the times. It's just a little more like current, so to speak. So even if you really don't use it, it'd be nice if some people had it. I'm looking at you, Talos. So we can hook up and play games and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to talk about community game night as well before we get to the end of the show. Now, I do have this little game I want to spotlight for you guys here right now. It is coming out in a couple of months, but like I've heard about this game. I've seen videos on it, but up until recently, it's been getting a lot of buzz. And I'm going to say that this game looks absolutely incredible. And I just want to share it with you here because it looks insane, and it's actually this might be moving up on my release radar. So let's play it here.
Ruin is sure to follow. If we fail to do so,
Desert.
countless lives will be lost.
So here's a little clip of it. Definitely gives me a good Witcher vibe. Obviously set in that sort of like time frame, but these graphics, these animations are absolutely dynamite.
So, countless lives will be lost. We can't do this alone. Naira, gather all of the grey meat.
Consider it done.
By a single hand.
I don't know if it's looping or something here. Hang on just a second here, guys.
So, countless lives will be lost. We can't do this alone. Naira, gather all of the grey meat.
Consider it done.
By a single
Oh, okay. It is. It's just kind of looping, that sort of thing. So yeah, but I don't know if you guys seen it. It is scheduled to come out on March. I think it is the 16th. So it's like the middle of March, unless it slips. But it is looking absolutely incredible. That is Crimson Desert, guys. And as far as I know, I do believe it comes out on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series console. So really looking forward to that. Looks fantastic. All right. So let's back to the chat, guys. Hope you're having a great morning, and I hope you're enjoying what you've seen of the podcast so far. That was a quick look at the games that are upcoming for your favorite platforms and for PC. Now, we're going to get into a little discussion here this morning. Just making sure I caught everybody and got almost everybody updated here right now that's been in the chat so far. Yeah, I just got to add a couple more names here. All right. So I guess sort of the main topic of today's show, the main discussion point, and this is something I want to get, feedback from all of you guys on as well. And it's something that, at some point I think we may have to face. If you saw, I guess my title, it's about what happens if we are finally faced with a console-less kind of world, so to speak. What happens, or where do we go if there's no consoles? We've seen it in the past. Many developers have tried, developers have tried to publishers in general. I mean, people like Atari have tried on numerous occasions to bring out a console, and it's not an easy feat. We got to give them credit. The manufacturing, the marketing, the distribution, and everything that goes with a console, which is kind of why I think in a I think in a world coming sooner than later, we're going to see a point where there are no more consoles. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a thing of the past. I would likely put my money on the fact that Xbox, Xbox is probably going to be the first that ends up out of that equation. Just because of the way things have been going for them, they're having a hard time selling consoles. And I'm not here to, like I said, I'm not here to start console. We're just talking about some of the facts. Now, I hope that Xbox continues to make hardware. I bought every single console that they've ever pretty much had or have. Still own my Xbox Series X right now and still enjoy it thoroughly. But, if any of those big three companies, I'm talking about Xbox or Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, are likely to get out of this game, so to speak, then it is probably them. We hope that does not account. We hope that that isn't what happens. I hope there's more hardware. There is speculation that we will see some potentially by 2020, like late this year or perhaps even next year. But right now, there's a lot of volatility in the marketplace with things like RAM, which seem to have gone up exponentially. And are we ready for a new console at this point in time? Like for me, I said this on a podcast the other night. Look, I don't mind a new console, but personally, I think this current generation got off to a very slow start. And what I mean by that is that obviously the launch was in 2020 of both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles. And we were obviously faced with an issue that we've never really had in the past, and that is a console launch, a kind of a global console launch amidst a pandemic, the old COVID-19 scenario. And a lot of these consoles, while they did sell out, part of the reason they were selling out so quickly is because there was a shortage, right? So just 1 second here, guys. I got to turn the light on here. There was a bit of a shortage due to manufacturing issues placed on those restrictions, right? So plus, the first 2 years of any console lifespan as well, we're quite aware that, there's that carryover from the previous gen where you get a lot of cross-platform games or games that have a slight update and stuff like that. So, so it wasn't the best start. I mean, but I guess it gave a lot of companies a lot of false backing, because while they were thinking, oh man, we're selling it like crazy and the demand is higher than ever, it wasn't necessarily because the products had changed, and it was an artificial demand, again, placed on us by the restrictions of COVID-19 and staying indoors and social distancing and all this stuff. So of course everything did well. I mean, even the game I referred to earlier, Animal Crossing, saw absolutely crazy amount of adoption in its first couple of months on the market. And again, because it launched right during this whole thing, right? Right. So that is what happened. So I think a lot of companies kind of got a little overzealous. We saw a massive hiring spree, coming out of this, where studios were hiring a lot of people, and everybody was ramping up stuff. And now we're in the reverse, where you see all these layoffs and you see cutbacks and you see closures and you see numbers getting revised. So while, it's nice to get new hardware, I'm not ready for it. Is anybody in the chat? If you're ready for a new console launch, say in 2026 or 27, give me a yes. If you're okay with them going to 2028, 29, which I'm totally fine to go to at least 2028. Put that in the chat. Put 28 in the chat if you're okay with consoles moving to that date, because I'm totally fine with the hardware we have. I don't think it's even been remotely tapped. And on top of that, the graphics are plateauing. Whether we want to agree with it or not, now it's all about things like textures and shadows and animation, more so than just making graphics pop. And my case in point is, you look at games that came out on the PS4 and the Xbox One generation, severely limited hardware. You look at a game like Rise, Son of Rome, which still looks as good as almost any game that's even put out today. We got games like the Order 1886, which looked phenomenal. You know, a lot of these games, racing games now, it's hard to tell the difference between one and the other because, I mean, you're talking about cars. There's only so many polygons and you know, and sort of a luster you can put on these things. So, like, I find a lot of racing games now look the same, especially if they're track racers, right? Track racers are tough because you're kind of basically using the same tracks. You know, you're using Monaco or using Le Mans and all these different things, you know. So, like, how do you make those look a whole lot better than they have for the past couple of years? It's kind of funny. I find, like, and I just recently played, like, Forza 7, for example, compared to Forza Motorsport. And Forza 7, I think, looks to me, now there might be things I'm not quite noticing, but Forza 7, in all honesty, looks probably just as good as Forza Motorsport. And I thought Forza Motorsport should look kind of like way better than Forza 7 because they took a lot more time and they said they kind of built it from scratch. But I don't know. I'm debating on that one. So Lady Gamer in the chat, she's really excited for Saros and the Wolverine game this year. I can't disagree with you there. Saros looks pretty cool. Wolverine looks amazing. Now, for me, I'm not big on Saros because it comes from Housemarque, and those are the guys that did Returnal, and I'm not big on those kind of games. I've never played Returnal, so I'm not here to, like, you know, it's a horrible game or it's a great game. I never played it, so I can't give you an opinion on it. I just know that when I watch videos on Returnal, I'm like, yeah, I won't like this game. I won't like this game. I'll swear at this game, but I won't like it. Not really into that sort of that rogue shooter kind of stuff, right? Pink Pickles in the chat says, give me the new consoles now. Technology improves so quickly. Why are we waiting 87 years between generations? Well, here's one of the things with that. It's taking so long to put out games. I mean, why do we need a console when most companies are lucky to get 1 or 2 games out in a generation now? Very few studios have been able to produce anything. So to get a return on investment, I think they need to stick with the hardware just a little bit longer. I mean, for a lot of you guys and gals out there, you're probably on a high-end PC anyway, which seems to change like the wind. Like, there's a graphics card, it seems like every year. I don't change my phone every year. I usually wait till my phone is relatively obsolete or doesn't work very well before I upgrade to the next one. You know, you're not going to get me excited by adding a couple more megapixels. And a lot of these new consoles, if all you can promise me is, well, this game's going to run. Well, we've heard that promise before. We've heard a lot of people, well, everything's going to be 4K 60. And, you know, so far, nope. Nothing's 4K. Even on this, you know, PlayStation 5 Pro, which is supposed to be this ultra powerful little machine, we're still seeing that choice of performance mode and quality mode. And this is something that really shouldn't exist at this point. There shouldn't be a mode to pick from. You should be just in optimal mode the whole damn time. Don't you agree? You know, you're spending $100 on a game. I would hope that these games can run optimal. You know, full graphics going, you know, full 4K, lots of textures and all that sort of stuff. You know, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. And until they can fulfill that promise, I'm not really ready to jump into more hardware, right, at the same time. We got Frank. He says, I don't mind if they put a new console. It just gives us more options if you want to buy it. That is true. I mean, that is true. I mean, obviously not everybody's going to buy. Price is going to be a major key with the next consoles moving forward. I don't know how much they're going to be. You all know that the Canadian dollar and the Australian dollar are pretty crazy, certainly very low in terms of comparing it to the United States dollar. I think in Canada, you know, we're less than 70 cents return. So, like, stuff up here is getting astronomically expensive. Mario Kart World is $115 in Canada if you wanted to go in and buy the physical copy of it. I saved a little money because I got it in the bundle, but you see what I'm saying? It's very expensive. Oh, coffee is life. How can you do a podcast without coffee? Yeah, well, I do agree to that statement to a certain degree. There is some of that. I think I think everybody has moments. I think we can all be lazy when we want to. I mean, I go to work some days, and I have some days where, like, you know, I'm not giving 100%. I'm not working to the full extent of my, you know, 8 hours on the clock. And my thought on that is I'm pretty sure when you got studios that got, you know, 200, 300 people in them, that what happens is you got some departments waiting on other departments, and I think there's a lot of downtime at certain areas. And I can also see, you got a fresh new person coming in, maybe the management or the direction is not quite clear, and they're kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs until they get something to do, you know. But in most cases, especially when you're a studio and you work underneath a mega publisher, someone like a Microsoft, there should be no excuses for why games are taking 5 and 6 years. That's actually been one of the reasons I think that we've seen a bit of a downturn with some of these publishers, because it is taking so long. Unlike publishers like Capcom, who, for whatever happened with them a couple years ago, but they got their stuff going. I don't know if they've hired mass hiring or what, but like they've been putting out a lot more games in the last couple of years at a relatively decent clip. You also got some people like the studio, Supermassive Games. You guys might know them. They're the people behind the Dark Pictures anthology. Now I get it. The Dark Pictures anthology, it's more of a structured game. It doesn't have as many variables. They're generally single player focused and all that stuff. But here, the thing is, they've made how many games since Until Dawn? Like, they've probably made at least 6 or 7 of these games right now, including the 2K published The Quarry, then the Until Dawn remake. Well, I think they had somebody else handle that one. But you see what I'm saying? It's like some of these publishers or some of these studios are able to put out they're averaging like 2 games a year. Some of these people, and there's other guys that it's taking like 6 or 7 years to get one game out. And I'm staring at you, Rare. Like, I don't understand why Rare hasn't done basically nothing except Sea of Thieves since 2017 or something. Like, when did Sea of Thieves come out? Was that 2017 or 2019 for Sea of Thieves? Like, that game's been out probably like almost 10 years now, I think. And yeah, they've had a content. That's great. That's all fine and dandy, but isn't it time to move on? Isn't it time to give us something new and fresh? Isn't it time to step it up? Like I said, I don't know how these things at companies work, but I can tell you how I work. And I can tell you, if I was a CEO or I'm somebody that's overseeing a lot of these studios, I'm going in and I'm telling you, no, here's the thing. We're going to give you guys some deadlines and you're going to get stuff done. I'm not canceling the project, but I guarantee you won't have another one to work on if you don't get this stuff out, right? You better get this stuff out at a timely fashion. This is what management's all about. This is what department heads of all of it. They have to figure out a way to put all this together and make it work. Capcom has 3 big games this year that we know. Yes, absolutely. I mean, we know that between the remakes and stuff, we're going to have Resident Evil Requiem. We're going to have Onimusha 2, is it, or whatever the new Onimusha game is, and that's coming out. And don't they have Capcom has Pragmata too, do they not? So we've got Pragmata. Those are 3 big games there, not to mention some of the remakes of Resident Evil. God only knows what else they're going to have. So yeah, these are things that yeah. But what does the world of the consoles look like? That's the thing. So how is everybody in the chat? Say if there's no consoles that are going to exist. No consoles exist in, say, the next, say within the next 10 years. Nobody decided. We're probably consuming our games at this point, probably through like a television app or, the Google Stadia thing. That's going to be a thing where basically you're going to probably just have downloads through your television and you're going to be just using a controller. Everything's going to be in the cloud. Now, I'm not 100% against cloud stuff. I mean, it can work, but it has to be like almost foolproof at some point. Like, everything is so dependent right now on internet speeds and connections, and it's really crappy, to play a game. And everybody knows, we've all been there. We've all been playing a game and you're playing it and all of a sudden your connection dies or you lose stuff altogether and basically renders the game useless, right? And you're kind of, And then, yeah, we go back to retro consoles. We just play the older stuff, which, but then a lot of the older games, some of the best games out there right now, you can't even play them without that online connection. And that's something I've always said that kind of really bugs me even to this day, is every game should be playable with or without an internet connection. You should not always have to sign into everything. The game, if you install it to your hard drive, you should have the ability to play it at least at max or most capacity, especially if it's got a single player mode. Okay, if it's got like a story mode and stuff like that, there's no reason why you should not be able to access that without having to sign in and go online. I think many of you would probably agree with me. But in all likelihood, if anybody's going to drop out of the hardware first, it probably will be Microsoft. Now, again, that's just speculation. That Sony would probably be next. Nintendo would probably be the last guys to hold the fort because Nintendo is the anomaly, and they seem to be holding on to things quite well. They seem to be doing quite well despite perhaps a lack of marketing and certainly a lack of the more advanced hardware. But Switch is holding its own right now. The Switch 2 in particular. I've seen some of the new games it's running, and it's running them pretty well. So I don't know how they're doing it, but it's getting done, and that's fantastic. So just catch up with the chat again, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. We got 12 amazing people hanging out with us right now in the chat, and I'm just making sure that I've got my list updated here, the people that are here. Right, so far, I think I got just about everybody added to the list of potential but possible winners coming up here in 5 weeks' time for that little thing here. So all right, that's kind of the main topic. I personally hope for the new hardware at least by 2028. I think I can definitely go this entire year, and I think the I'm okay with 2027. I mean, this year alone, most of us have probably got at least half a dozen games on our wish list. So, like, the thing is, where am I going to get time to play all the games? So if you just bring out new hardware, it's kind of like, man, like you're going to have to make it, for me, you're going to have to make the investment very enticing for me to drop another $1,000 on anything and not feel like I'm getting a return on the investment. Yeah, I agree with you when Frank says the Switch 2 is a breath of fresh air. If there's anything with the Switch 2, I guess that is a little disappointing at this point in this juncture, and it could change. It's the fact that the UI is so simple, which is not a bad thing. I mean, sometimes simplicity is great. The fact that, it has cohesion with the older Switch, which is probably what they're going for since there's so many people that own the older hardware. But the other missed opportunity here, and I know it's not necessarily directly gaming, but with the Switch 2 is the fact that you can't use your apps now. Like they don't allow you to use YouTube, they don't allow you to check out Crunchyroll or anything like that. So that's kind of disappointing, especially when you have this great little handheld that can do games very well, but does very little else in return. I mean, most people, that's all they're buying it for is games, and I get that. But wouldn't it be nice to, sit back and, relieve some stress and watch a movie on your Switch 2 or something along that lines instead of just, it's just for games and that's it. Then I wouldn't have to, kind of watch things on a phone or whatever. I'd rather bring the Switch 2 with me wherever I go and do some of this stuff as well. So I think, there's hopefully Nintendo listens and puts a little bit of stuff on there anyway in terms of apps. There's no reason why they shouldn't have the YouTube on there when considering that the YouTube app runs on the regular Switch. It's just really, really weird. All right, so let's move right along. So main news headlines. It's been kind of a slow week, I guess, overall. But I mean, one of the headlines I do want to talk about here really quickly, I guess, and that is the talk about some television shows that are either are ending their lifespan or getting added to the lifespan kind of thing. So so let's talk about that here. Here was I share the screen with you guys. All right. Just sharing some articles from GameSpot.com. And we do know that there's been some, obviously there's, it's video games tying into television shows, right? Which I don't know how many of those you guys watch. What is your favorite one? I'd certainly like to know. It looks like in this one article, The Last of Us Season 3 could be the final season. It certainly seems that way according to the HBO boss. Now, I don't know if that's, just because of the writing or because of Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog. Obviously, we haven't got a Last of Us 3 game. I think Season 3, if I'm correct, is basically a continuation and a wrap-up of the second game, if I'm correct. I haven't watched the second season of the show yet, so that's what I'm understanding. So Game Complainer says Twisted Metal is a show he's excited for. Satius is in the chat. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. You can't wait for season 2 of the new Alien series. We got Legendary Yobi's in the chat. What's going on, brother? Good to see you here. Peace, love, and life from the Legendary Yobi. I mean, I don't know how about you guys. I really enjoyed, for the most part, I really enjoyed the Halo series. Was it perfect? By no means, no. But I actually enjoyed the Halo series, and I was very disappointed to know that they canceled it after 2 years. Now, Netflix has it over there right now, and apparently it's enjoying a resurgence in viewers. And I would like to see them continue that if all possible. I would like to see them come back with a Halo 3 and expand the universe. Pablo Schreiber, the guy who plays Master Chief, I thought he did a pretty good job. Now, like I said, I had gripes that the show is not perfect. They took a lot of liberties with the story and the lore and stuff like that, but there was also lots of cool stuff about it as well. I have not seen the Twisted Metal show, by the way. I'm semi-excited for the new Tomb Raider series. What's her name? Sophie Turner gets to play as Lara Croft. You guys probably saw that news. I'm sort of interested. I'm a little leery. I need to see more. So far, we know that she's been cast. I think there's better options in terms of people they could have cast that probably look the part better. I mean, this is still to this day, this is my biggest gripe with The Last of Us TV show is the fact that, The Last of Us, come on, I don't know, man. How did Bella Ramsey get cast as Ellie? I mean, they don't even look remotely similar, Pedro is probably cast as Joel because he's he's the it actor of the moment, right? And that's how this goes in Hollywood. They go with these people that sort of, they have this popularity kind of thing, and then they roll with it. I don't think that's always the best case scenario. Sometimes you go with some unknowns and you give them a shot, and people that not only sound and look the part, but you know what I mean? So I liked The Last of Us season 1 for the most part. It had some great, there was some parts, especially the intro, the way it started, very accurate kind of thing. Sadie says he wants someone to pick up the Dark Crystal, so they get a second season that we never got. Yeah, there's a lot of shows we're never going to see. Stranger Things finally ended this year at season 5, and to be quite honest with you, as much as I love Stranger Things, I was kind of happy that it ended because it just felt like it was getting worse as it was going along. The stories were getting a little bit convoluted, and it just felt like it was getting weird. And this is always a danger with shows that run, usually particularly after season 3. There's always these, those creative issues that come along. And then, of course, if you kill off certain characters or you don't kill off certain characters, there can always be a lot of room for interpretation and stuff like that. So, yeah, so let's just getting back to this here. Because in season 3, he says, I'm not going to go past the game. I'll just say that flat out. So people are thinking, oh, these guys are planning the old cash grab thing. So I think in honor and respect, I guess, to obviously the fact that we don't have a Last of Us 3, and if they start writing their own content, I think they also know that they're going to leave the show and they're going to leave the series up for interpretation, right? Because obviously it's based on a game, and if they take it in their own, we kind of saw what happened with the Game of Thrones when they kind of, when R. Martin or whatever his name is, the writer, he hadn't finished the final book, so then they had TV writers kind of come in and try to finish off the show. And, there's a lot of people with mixed feelings on how Game of Thrones certainly ended. There's some new stuff coming up, like the new Tomb Raider show. And there's another new show coming up as well here. I forget what it is. Well, we got the God of War show coming up as well. And we know that I think it's Ryan Hurst is going to be playing the lead role. On how you guys feel about that. But Ryan Hurst, he was the guy who actually, oddly enough, he played Thor in God of War Ragnarok. So he actually got the role of Kratos. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think the guy certainly has the chops for it. And I guess, if he packs on a little bit of muscle at least, he could be a very good, They are already showing the announcement trailer for Stranger Things animated show tomorrow. They just want, oh my Lord. Are you kidding me? Yeah, there it goes. And I guess just over on a movie front, not that, gaming and movies and shows kind of tie in together. And like I said, there's not a lot of big news articles this week. But I just wanted to talk about this. How does everybody feel about the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe trailer? Been seeing some mixed reaction online. I'm kind of digging it. I think it actually looks really cool, and most importantly, I really am digging Jared Leto finally as Skeletor. Looks fantastic. I think we might have finally found a good role for him that maybe he embraces and maybe has some success, because we certainly know that Jared Leto has had some kind of misses in the last while, especially, Morbius did not do very well at the box office, and so on and so forth. And I wasn't really keen on Jared Leto's portrayal as the Joker, sort of in the Justice League movies or the Batman versus Superman thing or whatever it was. So, He-Man looks pretty cool. So just got to add a few more names onto this list, and we're going to move on to the next topic. We are starting to approach sort of the deadline for the show. It's amazing how an hour goes fast. But I'm pretty excited about that. And like I said, I'm excited about all the shows. I'll give them a chat. That to me is personally one of the biggest things. This is where the streaming game starts to get complicated. Everybody's picking up these great shows, but they're all on different services. And it drives me nuts because now you gotta basically have 5 or 6 streaming services to watch half the shows because nothing's on one thing anymore, and it's kind of nutty. I did finally go back and subscribe to Netflix. I'm on their lower tier, and it seems to be working okay. I can deal with the odd occasional ad here and there. It hasn't really bothered me that much. As a matter of fact, sometimes it gives me a chance to get up and go grab a drink or a snack from the fridge, that sort of thing. So, yeah. But there's lots of great shows coming out here, guys, indeed, and I'm excited for all. I'll try to check them all out. So, give me a second here. I'm just catching up the chat once again, make sure that I got everybody entered who has come in here. I don't want to miss anybody. That would suck, but I think I do have everybody here right now. We got 10 amazing people watching. And for those of you who catch this on the replay, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm planning to have some guests for the show. I haven't decided who the first guest is going to be. So if you guys have any suggestions in the chat, please leave them here. I can tell you a couple of people I would love to get on the show. So if you're ever watching, I would love to have Cliffy B come on an episode of Crazy About Gaming. I would love to have a Canadian legend in my eyes is Mr. Victor Lucas, who runs the Electric Playground, or EPN, up here in Canada. He's an amazing individual. Got to meet him at the Edmonton Comic Show, not this past year, but the year before. And he's just a great dude and a great gamer, and he just loves all things gaming. And he would be fun to have on here. But, I'd let Bret Hart would be, that would be a dude. If I could get Bret Hart on there, that would be wild. Talk about, his career and maybe if he's ever played himself in any of the video games and stuff like that. And, who he'd like to fight if he was still in his prime kind of deal. That would be so cool. Spider-Man 35666 is in the house. Good to see him, my brother. Good morning to you, sir. That would be awesome. So anyway, I'm just going to alleviate this from the screen here. All right, we're going to do right now, we got a couple more segments before we wrap up the show here this morning. So we're going to bring up what we call our channel or social media spotlights for today. And I'm going to spotlight a fantastic individual who certainly needs a lot more love. He's a friend of mine. He's been a co-panel member. And I hope that everybody, if you're not subscribed to his channel, you please do. He deserves a little more love. If you're a Transformers fan, if you just like, guys who put it all out there, you get what you give, or you give what you get, that sort of thing. It's my good buddy, and I'm going to bring him up right on the screen here. This guy right here is my first ever, and he's going to be very impressed that I did this for him today. It is the good old Proto Foxy. His channel is right here on the screen for you. He's got 493 subscribers right now, 269 videos. It says he's a lover of video games, movies, MTG, Transformers, and other nerdery just for fun. And if you didn't know, he is now the host of Gaming Ain't Easy. You'll find it on Tuesday nights, right around sort of the old time slot of Gaming After Dark. And of course, Game Complainers is one of the panel members, along with Your Wicked Hot and Sir X-Man. And God bless him. We hope that he comes back here sometime soon. But there you go, guys. Proto Foxy is the first ever spotlight for community member on this channel. Like I said, I'll be spotlighting guys who make great videos and their channels, but I'll also be spotlighting maybe just sometimes some just great people that are from the community that maybe do not do YouTube, but they're very active in our comments and our socials and stuff like that. So shout out to the first one, Proto Foxy. I'm sure he'll be impressed that I chose him to kick things off. And again, because Proto is a great guy, He's been a phenomenal panel member of Gaming After Dark. You know, we used to be host together on the Gaming Fuse. This was many, many years ago with the Tactic Glitcher. You might remember that. And Jago Kukin and Vader Gaming. We had a great little podcast going there. And yeah, so, you know, show him some love. Go hit that subscribe button and let him know that you did. I'm sure he'll greatly appreciate it. He does some great proto plays. And and if you love Transformers, he's got a great collection of stuff that he buys and then does like little, you know, he does these like sort of unboxings and he shows you know how they work, that sort of thing. So yeah, again, it's just called sharing the love, guys. That is fantastic. So Proto Foxy is the first highlight on this channel, and we'll be doing more to come. All right, we got a few more things here before we get ready to wrap the show here this morning. Obviously, I already told you about the contest and the giveaway. One more time, if you're in the chat this morning, that includes you, Spider-Man, and Fazal, and the game, everybody here, you're going to be entered in week number 5. So if you want the most, you have 4 chances to enter. You just got to be in the chat for the next 4 weeks. If you're only here once, you got 1 chance. And we're going to do the Wheel of Winning on week 5, and we'll give this awesome little retro console away. Tons of games on it. Fantastic little device. I think you'll love it, whoever gets it. It's a nice little mess around device for sure. So yeah. And then I want to talk about community game days. I still haven't got some details nailed down quite yet, but I want to make it a regular occurrence. I want community game day to be, you know, as regular as hopefully this podcast will be for you guys. Typically on Sundays, we may still continue the community game nights, especially the VR version on Saturday nights. But I like to do, this is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out a great time for everybody, right? To try to find a great time to get everybody together and do the community game days. And it's tough because everybody has a very busy schedule. Weekends can be chaotic. And even for me, like just committing sometimes to a time. This is why this podcast, I think, for me works, because generally, if I'm wrapping this up in an hour, I still have plenty of time to go do a lot of the things that I typically do on a Sunday. But yeah. And Oilers did have a rough night last night. It was awful. I mean, I thought they played a pretty good game for the most part. They just, you know, they just couldn't keep pucks out of the net. They couldn't get a bounce. I mean, we're hitting posts, and that other goalie was kind of standing on his head. But yeah, enough about the hockey stuff. If you guys didn't know already, I am a massive Edmonton Oilers fan. I'm actually from Newfoundland, if you couldn't tell by my name and the banner behind me. But I live out here in Alberta, amazing province, and yeah, doesn't get the love it deserves out here. But I hope you guys pretty much enjoyed the podcast so far. We are working on a few things. Like I said, intro, got to get some guests. Got to work on a great time for community game day. We'll plan one again soon. It might happen for next weekend. I am off all next weekend, so I'm hoping to hook something up. And typically, like I said, this is why you should be following me on the X app at Newf Nukem, because that's where we often announce these things, like when we're going to play a game night and what games we're going to have involved on there. We had a fun one the last time around with some Halo Infinite, so it's always a good time. And I think, you know, with the new Forza Horizon coming out soon, I think it's long overdue to have a Forza Horizon night here at some point. That would be a lot of fun as well. Or maybe a kart racing game night again. Maybe not even Mario Kart. Maybe one of the Sonic Racers over on Xbox or PlayStation or wherever it might be. So, yeah. So I'm going to need, like I said, this podcast is a work in progress, and I promise you it's only going to get better. This was the inaugural episode, and I hope that I've kept the pacing pretty good. And I think overall, I think it's been a positive podcast. I hope you guys would agree. I'm trying to stay away from the console war nonsense, and we're just hanging out and having a good time talking about gaming. I hope that I maybe opened up your eyes to some of the releases that are coming out. Again, shout out to the sites that I use on this show. That sort of thing. And I'm hoping to get some great guests on here in due time as well. So, yeah, I greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that, to Spider-Man. And I look forward to playing games with you sometime soon in the future as well. Hit me up, man. If you want to play something, let's do it. Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the show. We're approaching the 60-minute mark. This is a great time now for some Q&A. If you guys have any questions or if you have any comments about things that you've already liked from today's show, The feedback is greatly appreciated because, again, I want to trim the fat. I want to make sure this show kind of runs well. If I was trimming the fat, I wouldn't be here, right? But I want to have a pretty good pace. I think I've done that for the most part, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do respect that. I do respect your time, especially on a Sunday. Greatly appreciate you here, but definitely want to get some great guests on. Want to have some great content, at some point too. And, hopefully I can hook up with a great source and get, some breaking news kind of stuff for this channel. That's the kind of stuff I think that opens people's eyes up, is when you're able to, but I don't want to be a fake insider, and I don't want fake insiders, because we see this all the time too. Like, when you dabble in rumors and gossip and stuff, it turns into more trouble than it's worth. I want to go with stuff that's factual, I appreciate that too, Spider-Man. I think a lot of us would agree that most podcasts now, the majority of them are getting along in the tooth. I mean, 2 hours is stretching it at the best of times, but an hour is not bad. And that doesn't mean that this podcast is always going to be right pinpoint on an hour. But, I think when you've got the right topics, when you've got enough stuff to talk about, or you've got a couple of guests. But I don't want to, I don't want to overflow either where we've got just noise, where you have 4 or 5 panel members, or you got 3 or 4 guests and it's people talking over each other. That stuff doesn't work well with me either. So 2 hours is not bad. You betcha. But again, it's whether the content dictates or not. Otherwise, I'll try to stick to the hour. This is just the inaugural episode. We're just getting started, baby. But I greatly appreciate everybody for being here this morning. Will you buy 32 gigs of RAM soon? Well, I'm not buying 32 gigs of RAM. You might, because I know you're a PC guy. But hopefully there's going to be some 32 gigs of RAM perhaps in the next consoles. I don't know. Actually, the RAM is not the problem with the consoles these days. It's the damn storage. I mean, man, we're going to need like 2 or 3 terabytes at the rate we're going, because, this putting 1 or 2 games on there and having to delete stuff is really pissing me off. But maybe that's the whole plan. Maybe it's to get us all kind of really annoyed with the lack of, hard drive space. And then all of a sudden, lack of hard drive space, and then obviously we'll start accepting their cloud technology, their cloud services and stuff like that. And that's the worst part. Then they'll start doing cloud services, and guess what will happen with cloud services? They'll start charging you extra for all the cloud services, and then they'll charge you more. It always happens. It never fails. Like, these companies are crazy. It's like the digital game conundrum, right? When digital games are becoming a thing, which they are now, except for old fossils like me who like to buy everything on disc, or at least have a disc with a DRM license code on it, because that's pretty much what they are. But why are they not cheaper? Why are you not paying at least $10 less for digital games on the marketplace when they don't have the paid distribution, they don't have to pay for this, that, and something else, and they have full control over the pricing because it's on a digital marketplace? They're not privy to what a store wants to do or anything like that. Like, this is the things that bother me to this day, and it should bother us all. Like, why are digital games as much, if not more, than the physical versions you get? Because exactly, they are greedy and they're gouging us. And this is just a perfect example of how the industry takes us all for granted, but it's never going to change, because there's one thing I've certainly learned: if we are willing to pay it, they are willing to charge it. And it's going to be the case with this Grand Theft Auto. And I hope this doesn't true. I'm hearing lots of speculation that GTA 6 is going to bypass a physical release of the game. They're probably going to give you like 5 or 6 reasons why they're doing that, but I guarantee you the main reason, if they get rid of the physical, because they're going to double dip. They know people want to play this game so bad, it's going to come out, and they're going to sell millions upon millions of this game. Even if they charge you 100 Canadian, or they charge you 90 US, or whatever they decide to charge, they're going to sell millions of copies of this game. That's a guarantee. People, I mean, I want it, and I'm willing to pay 100. Okay, if I paid $115 for Mario Kart World on my Switch 2 in Canada, I'm willing to pay $115 for GTA 6. Okay, considering we've had to wait like pretty much an eternity. I mean, I've known people that have had kids and have gotten divorces and stuff since GTA 5 actually launched. You know what I mean? So they're going to charge it. But I think the biggest reason they won't bring out a physical copy, if this should happen, is because they want to double dip. They're going to get millions of people that are going to buy this game at full price when it's digital. And guess what? 6 or 7 months after the fact, maybe a year, they'll say, yeah, we're going to bring out a physical release of this game now. And they'll charge you just as much again. And a lot of people that are sort of like collectors and stuff like me will probably be like, oh, well, I need to get the physical release or the collector's edition or whatever it might be. So that's what I think is going to happen, right? And I guess, like I said, a lot of us were like puppets. If we pay it, they will charge it. It is that simple. If we don't, watch how quickly the tune changes. But that is where we are at, folks. And anyway, we are coming to the end of the show. I'm just seconds away from hitting the 60-minute mark. I want to thank each and everybody for being here in the chat today. I hope you enjoyed the inaugural episode of Crazy About Gaming. That's what we're here to chat about. The hobby that gets us up in the morning and something that keeps us very busy. You guys are amazing. So many great people in the chat today. And I greatly thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to already seeing you again next Sunday. It's going to be a good time. But until then, I want to wish everybody a great day. I appreciate the feedback. I hope to see a lot of comments, and I hope to see a lot of suggestions. I will try to incorporate them all into the show over the coming months. Like I said, it will be an evolution. It will be a work in progress. But at least we got this off the ground. We're out there. Yeah, man, I appreciate that, Game Complainers, coming from you. That means a lot, brother. Spider-Man, thank you for the love and support. Spider-Man has been a big supporter of mine for many, many years. We haven't always seen eye to eye on certain things, but, I'll never forget the times when Spider-Man came out and supported me, and certainly some of my streams. He'll never forget, and I'll never forget the times I think I was streaming, what was it, Mass Effect Andromeda? And those alien puzzles, and he'd sit through the absolute head-scratching puzzles that I would be banging my head against. It's hilarious to think back at that, but that's how long ago it was. Yeah, man, we are cool, and you're in Alberta too. Another good Alberta boy here. Thank you, Talos. Great, appreciate it, man. Rock on, Stevie Mac. You guys are amazing. A lot of this, I know it's a lot of the same people, and Lady Gamer, and share this out, guys, and Pink Pickles and Frank and oh man, Talos. I mean, like, so you guys are amazing. I really do love you guys. You've been supporting me, and you haven't given up on me. But I want this to grow, and I can't do it without your help and support. And hopefully, we can get some more new people in here, and and the numbers will go up a little bit. The X-Man, what's going on, man? Good to see you. I know you're a little bit late to the show as we're getting ready to wrap up here, but you can always catch this on the replay. And you made it just in time because I haven't shut things down, so your name will go into the draw for the Retro Classic console as well. So, but that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. 2 minutes over already. See how time flies? I'm just doing the intro. I want to keep this short and sweet, just like my wife. And you guys have yourself a fantastic Sunday. We'll see you on a video game. I might be playing some Battlefield 6 later on. If so, hit me up. Let's go rock and roll. Or I might be streaming. Who knows? But I got some stuff to do today. Got to finish up and get stuff done on this wonderful Sunday. Yes, and I had a blast hanging out with you as well. And yes, we will do that mini golf again very, very soon. Looking forward to it, guys. So keep an eye out for more information on community game nights. We want to make it a thing. We want to get everybody in there. And if you've never played Walkabout Mini Golf with your friends, it is an absolute awesome. So catch you guys all again next week. But until then, take care of yourselves. And most importantly, game on. Let's get crazy.